Oh, right. This is my preseason week 2 power rankings for the 2025 NFL season. Let's get started. Starting off, here is a list of the top performances. Some of these don't really look that good, but again, it is just preseason, so a lot of these guys aren't playing a whole lot of possessions. They're not playing a full game, so their stats don't necessarily project what would be a normal top performance for the regular season, but you guys can look at this yourself. I'm not going to get into it too much. One thing I do want to mention is that Cam Little for the Jaguars kicked a 70-yard field goal. That was pretty cool. I hope he can get an opportunity to do that in the regular season because that was amazing. But moving on here to our actual power rankings, we have number 2, New Orleans Saints. Now, I do want to say I'm not worried about who won or lost this week because the preseason, once again, that's not all that important. So I'm not really going to worry about that. But the Saints, I am going to worry about. Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shough both were just very, very mid. Neither one of them looked very good this week. That's obviously not a great sign. That pretty bad quarterback battle between those two guys, if it even is one, didn't really look great here. They definitely feel like they have the worst quarterback room currently in the NFL, so they're going to be number 32. Number 1 is going to be the Cleveland Browns. One thing about them, Shedeur Sanders had a pretty solid preseason game. Right? Not that really is going to matter because Joe Flacco is still number 1 on their depth chart. Shedeur Sanders is still number 4 on their QB depth chart. So him having a good game doesn't necessarily jump them up much spots on my list. But it is definitely something worth mentioning. Also, Caden Davis, a wide receiver, had 2 touchdowns. That's pretty cool. He also went to high school about 30 minutes from where I live. So that's also pretty cool to note. But these Tennessee Titans, they did not do great. They got blown out in their game, and Cam Ward didn't do much of anything. He was fine at best, but certainly not great. One thing they did also is they signed safety Quandre Diggs, which potentially could help the secondary, but they still have a lot of problems on their roster. Number 29 is going to be the New York Giants. So they played all 4 quarterbacks this week. They played Jackson Dart, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Tommy DeVito. One of those guys is going to get cut, and it's probably going to be Tommy DeVito, if I had to guess, unless they for some reason roll with 4 quarterbacks. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. But all 4 of these quarterbacks looked pretty solid this week. Jackson Dart looked the best, in my opinion. I think Russell Wilson was honestly looking the worst. But overall, they all still played relatively well, which is very good to see for any team to have the entire quarterback room have a good preseason. Number 28 is the Carolina Panthers. They're going to stay at the exact same spot. Bryce Young was good. The rookie Tyrell McMillan, he was pretty good in his first game. That's also good to see that him building a connection with Bryce Young because they're going to need him to do a lot for them this season. Number 27 is the Las Vegas Raiders. Geno Smith was pretty mid this week, and also their kicker, Daniel Carlson, I believe, was only 3 for 5 from field goals. That's not very good. You want your kicker to be doing better than that. But again, it is just preseason. Give him a few games to warm up. Hopefully he can fix some of those inconsistencies in the regular season. They also signed a couple guys. Safety Terrell Edmonds. Hopefully he can be a good depth safety. And they signed Marquez Callaway. Maybe he could be a legitimate receiver for their roster. At least a top 6, to make the actual 53-man roster. Number 6 is Indianapolis Colts. So, I don't really want to talk about injuries too much because I'm going to talk about injuries as a whole once we get started with the regular season. But I do want to mention that Anthony Richardson got injured in this game. He has been very much injury prone, basically since college even. And it was just like a pinky fracture or something, dislocation, so he should be back by next week. Maybe misses this preseason game, but certainly should be healthy for the regular season at the very, very latest. So it's not really an injury that's going to hinder him. But just seeing Anthony Richardson getting injured is not a good sign. Also, Daniel Jones, when he played in relief of Anthony Richardson, was not very good. Number 5 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They will jump up 1 spot. Trevor Lawrence looked good. Their backup quarterbacks looked pretty good as well. Wide receiver Trenton Irwin looked really good. And, of course, Cam Little kicking a 70-yard field goal was amazing. Travis Hunter did play both ways here. He had 2 receptions for 9 yards, and then he had 1 missed tackle on defense. So he looked a better receiver than corner, but again, it's just preseason. Maybe he'll get a couple more games of legitimate reps on both sides of the ball, and we can make a little bit more of an opinion on him later in the preseason. Number 24 is the Chicago Bears. Case Keenum looked really good in this game. I forgot he was even on this team, but he should be a good backup for them. Other backups were fine, I suppose. And then wide receiver Jade Walker, sorry, he was pretty good. But they did move down one spot, but that's not really because of what they did. It's because of what number 23 did, and that is the New England Patriots. I thought the Patriots looked really good. Jake May looked pretty good in his first game. Efton Chisholm, a wide receiver, looked really good. And then Travion Henderson looked amazing. He had a 100-yard kick return on his first touch. That was amazing. It was incredible to watch. I wasn't watching it live, but I did watch the replay. I'm like, wow. Having your first NFL touch, even though it is a preseason, but still having your first NFL level touch being a 100-yard touchdown is pretty cool. Number 22 is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to drop down one spot here. Aaron Rodgers did not play, of course, but Skylar Thompson and Mason Rudolph did, and they were amazing. Skylar Thompson was probably the best quarterback this week. He looked phenomenal, right? Mason Rudolph looked pretty good as well. Will Howard also did not play. He was our 6th-round draft pick, but they have 4. I mean, assuming Will Howard is at least somewhat decent, right? They have 4 pretty good quarterbacks on this roster. It's going to be interesting to see who they end up cutting. Number 21 is going to be the New York Jets. Justin Fields looked pretty good in this game. Backups, Adrian Martinez looked good. Also, rookie Donovan Edwards at running back, he looked really good in this game. He could potentially be a really good running back too, behind Breece Hall this season. Number 20 is going to be the Seattle Seahawks. I thought they looked pretty good. Sam Darnold didn't play. Drew Luck was fine. Jalen Moreau looked solid, but they had guys like Torrey Horton, their wide receiver from Colorado. He looked really good this week. I thought that was going to be a great addition. He could potentially be a top 3 wide receiver on this team for sure. Number 19 is going to be the Minnesota Vikings. They stayed the same spot. JJ McCarthy played. He made it through the preseason game without getting a season-ending injury, so that's a positive. It didn't look great, but it's fine, right? You're not really expecting him to look too great, and just made it the game that he injured. That's a good sign after what happened last year. The Arizona Cardinals. I thought Kyler Murray looked pretty good against the Chiefs. He had 1 interception, which was pretty bad. But other than that, that was his only incompletion the entire game. He only played a couple of drives, obviously, but aside from that one bad play, he looked pretty good in this preseason game. Jacoby Brissett also looked really good, and then running back Amari DeMarcado looked amazing this week. Number 17 is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. I thought Easton Stick looked amazing. No Michael Penix, no Kirk Cousins played. So again, talking about the backup quarterbacks who played good, it's like, how much does that actually play into how I rank you? Not a whole lot, but again, it is just worth mentioning because I have to talk about something in these videos, right? But again, Easton Stick looked good. Wide receiver Chris Blair looked good. They also signed Rodney Harrison at safety. Maybe that could be a good depth piece, adding in their secondary. Number 16 is going to be the Miami Dolphins. They dropped 2 spots this week. Tua was fine, wasn't good by any means. Zach Wilson was fine. Quinn Ewers was atrocious, but yeah, it's like their 3rd or 4th string quarterback, so not worried about him. But then also Ollie Gordon at running back, he looked really good. But the only reason they dropped a couple of spots is because 1, Tua didn't look that great, and also the teams that jumped to them just looked better. But yeah, number 15 is the Green Bay Packers. They also dropped 2 spots here. Jordan Love was bad this week. He was not good, at all. Malik Willis was also pretty bad this week. Obviously not a good sign for your starter and backup to have bad preseason games. But again, I'm not too worried about it, but I will drop them just a couple of spots here. Easily they could bring that back up next week after a good performance. Number 14 is the Dallas Cowboys jumping up 1 spot. No Dak Prescott, of course. But they did look pretty solid in this game. Joe Milton looked good. He definitely could have been better, but I thought he looked fine. Running back Malik Davis looked good. They have a running back issues as far as their depth there goes, so hopefully he can be a legitimate running back for this team. Moving on to number 13 is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I believe is the biggest riser of the week. They jump up 3 spots here. No starters really played for this team, or at least quarterback-wise, but Kyle Trask looked really good. Running backs Owen Wright and Sean Tucker looked really good. They already have Rachaad White, but these 2 guys also looked very good. So they're going to have a really scary running back trio, potentially. Very deep and very good at the running back position. Also, wide receiver Ryan Miller looked really good for them as well. Number 12 is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. They have a lot of injury issues that I want to talk about, but We're not talking about that in this video. We'll talk about all the injuries when we get to the Week 1 power ranking video for the regular season. But they did cut Eli Apple this week, which honestly could be a good thing. Their backup quarterbacks were bad. They had some guys that played good, like wide receiver Jordan Watkins was pretty good. They also signed running back Jeff Wilson because they've had some other running back issues. So getting a familiar face in Jeff Wilson back in the organization is pretty cool to see. Number 11 is going to be the Denver Broncos. They will drop one spot. Bo Nix did not look very good this week. Jarrett Stidham coming off the bench, he was amazing for them, but he's not their starter, so that doesn't really do much for their ranking. They dropped one spot because, again, Bo Nix did not look very good. Again, it's only one preseason game. Not too worried about it, but he didn't look good, so I will drop him one spot. Number 10 is going to be the LA Rams, jumping ahead of the Broncos. Stetson Bennett looked good. Blake Corum looks really good. He should be a really good second-string running back behind Kyren Williams. And then wide receiver Xavier Smith looked pretty solid as well. Number 9 is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers, staying at the same spot. Taylor Heineke was bad. Trey Lance was pretty solid. And DJ Uiagalelei threw one pass for 49 yards. He was 1 for 1 for 49 yards. Pretty good stat line. That's about as good as you could do, throwing just one pass without scoring a touchdown, of course. But definitely an upgrade, I think, from their quarterbacks looking back to the Hall of Fame game that they played. But again, no Justin Herbert and no, top-tier offensive talent, at least, to really talk about. But their backups, I think, look improved even from their Hall of Fame game. Number 8 is going to be the Houston Texans. They dropped just one spot here. They did sign wide receiver Quintez Cephas. That's worth noting, I guess. Davis Mills looked good this week, and then Braxton Berrios and John Mechie looked pretty good at wide receiver, but they dropped one spot mostly because of what the other team did, not because of what they did bad. But number 7 is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. They jump up ahead of them because, wow, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were absolutely lethal this week. They looked amazing. They looked like easily the best quarterback and wide receiver in the entire league. Definitely the best QB wide receiver duo in the entire league. And honestly, there's a case for both of them being a top quarterback or top at their position, right? Joe Burrow is at very minimum, a top 5 quarterback. I would say he's probably top 3. And then Jamar Chase is at minimum probably wide receiver 2. It's either him or Justin Jefferson at 1 and 2. That's probably the only argument. I would probably put Jamar Chase, probably at number 1. But again, I don't know completely, but they are both at the very top of their position, and they very much showed that this week. Number 6 is the Washington Commanders. Again, no top-tier players playing for them, but they're going to stay at the same spot. Their kicker was only 1 for 2 on field goals. That's not great, but they had guys like Josh Johnson, backup quarterback, played pretty good. Ja'Cory Brooks looked good, so I don't really have much to say about them, so they're going to stay at the same spot. Number 5 is the Buffalo Bills, also staying at the same spot. Their backup QBs looked good, I guess, and then Frank Gore Jr. looked pretty solid. I love seeing him play for the Bills because obviously his father also played for the Bills for a time as well. So it's fun to see him, be a legacy player there. Number 4 is going to be the Detroit Lions, staying at number 4. Definitely looked better this week than they did in their Hall of Fame game. Both Kyle Allen and Hendon Hooker looked actually pretty good this week, and they looked atrocious last week. So it's kind of crazy what just 1 week can do, and it probably has something to do with the matchups and who they were playing and what string of players they maybe were playing as well. But they looked a lot better this week than last week, but I can't really move them up anymore because the top 3 teams also looked pretty good. Number 3 is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. Their backup QBs didn't play very good, but some things that did go well. Keaton Mitchell looks amazing. Going to be a really good, running back to Derrick Henry, of course. And also, they signed Myles Gaskin to running back, so they have some really deep at that position. And also, their kick return and punt return, basically their entire special teams, was really, really good. They had a kick return touchdown, I believe. Or maybe it was a punt return touchdown, and then a kick return that was very, very long. Something like that. They had 2 really, really good returns. 1 kick return, 1 punt return, and one of them ended up in a touchdown. So they look really good in that regard. But moving on to number 2, it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. No Jalen Hurts played, but Tanner McKee looked amazing, bro. He should definitely get his Madden rating boosted. He looked phenomenal. Okay, if it was not for Skylar Thompson balling out this week, I would say Tanner McKee probably was the best QB this week. But he was probably number 2 because of how good Skylar Thompson did. But really, really good week for him. Will Shippey looked good for their backup running back. They're going to stay at number 2 because because number 1 is going to stay the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes played a total of 48 seconds in this game and threw one pass for a 1-yard touchdown. So that's basically the extent of what their starters played. So I can't really knock them down too much because when their starters were in, even though it was a very, very brief time, they did what they needed to do, right? That's all I can really say about them. Also, Nico Remigio, their return specialist towards the end of last season, had a very good return in this preseason game, so that obviously kind of reinforces the idea that he's going to be a good returner once again this season, and the Chiefs are going to stay at number 1. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check back next week for an updated power rankings list, and goodbye.